You know what, mate? I feel like a lot of people come to the UK with high expectations. Like they expect everybody to be living this luxurious, fancy life, living in these big fancy houses. No, unfortunately, most of the UK is the countryside. Yes, you can find that luxurious, fancy life in London, but most of the other towns in the UK, at least where I've been, in my observation, is the countryside. It's farms, they have cows, they have sheep. They keep it just the way it was in the 12th century, in the 16th century. Even if they're renovating, they're just doing little touch-ups, but keeping it still antique and just the way it was. So if you are looking for that fancy life, Habibi, go to Dubai. Here, they're keeping it very old, antique. And in today's video, I'm taking you guys to one of the villages called Falkland.
Type of bird is
Oh, she'll take some of the size of both here.
What type of bird is this?
As well as the rabbits I take it here. I've had them 3-4 pounds weight. I've had the odd pheasant as well.
It's huge.
She's actually in the middle of bolting at the moment. That's why she's not doing a lot of flying. And I've stuck her on the scales this morning, she's about 3 pounds weight. Yeah, you see the new feathers all coming down. You know, new feathers.
Like I mentioned, they're keeping their buildings very old and antique, but mind you that their style was still very classic and elegant. A very good example is the Big Ben. It's an old fancy building with so many details. Well, this is an old clock. I don't know how to read it, but this is how they used to read time then. Ladies and gentlemen, we are at Falkland Palace. Let me take you guys around Falkland. So it created a royal burgh in 1458. Falkland, with the royal palace at its heart, is rich in history and architecture. The palace, built by the Stuart kings, was brought to its full Renaissance glory by James V in the early 16th century. This directly translates to rebirth, where it's describing the great revival of art that took place in Italy from about 1400 under the influence of the rediscovery of classical art and culture. So Renaissance is the period in the European history marking the transition from the Middle Ages to modernity and covering the 15th and the 16th century. But well, enough with the place, with the village now, Falkland. Let's move on to the palace. Falkland Palace and Garden. Falkland Palace has been an important place for Scottish nobility since the 1100s and was a favorite retreat for the Stuart kings and queens, the Balmoral of its day. Mary, Queen of Scots, spent some of her happiest days here, hunting in Falkland Park and playing royal tennis. I'll take you there in a bit. The palace hosted a vibrant Scottish court, known throughout Europe for its encouragement for the art and sciences. Restored by the 3rd Marquess of Bute in the 1890s, it is one of the finest Renaissance building in Scotland. So following the footsteps of the royalty with me as we take steps back in time at Falkland Palace and Gardens today. So unfortunately, they do not allow people to record the inside, which I understand, because if I record it and put it on YouTube, then what's the point of you coming to visit the place? But anyways, so this is one of Britain's oldest original real tennis court, built for James V. So it's also called Royal Tennis or Court Tennis, and King James V of Scotland ordered it built in the late 1538 as one of the final touches to a lot of other building activities at the palace, and as well as other royal residences such as Stirling. When you see the court, you will realize that real tennis is very different from the game we know today. There is a series of lines, numbers and crowns marked on the floor and walls, which are all used to calculate scores. All 4 walls and the roof of the spectators gallery are used, plus players gain extra points if they get the ball through the hole in the wall. So let's talk about the inside of this palace. Guys, like my mind was blown away. My jaws were left on the floor. How beautiful this place is crazy. And mind you, most of it was burned down. As you can see the building, some parts of the palace didn't burn down. But let's talk about the king's bed, the king's bedroom, the queen's a dressing room. They had things like dressing room, bathrooms, bedroom, the fireplace, the bakery, the chapel, and the time we spent for them to explain every detail in every room, even the roof, the mirrors, the cupboard, every little thing means something. The bed is full of heads and angels and lions and dogs and dragons, and I can't even describe it. The roof is full of paintings and art and crowns, and most of the place has been recreated due to the fire. It's more like a replica of how they were living, but for me, their lifestyle was just top notch. Hi guys, mic check 1 2 1 2. I am in one of the oldest bar and restaurant in Scotland. We just had our lunch. I forgot to to record that. But yeah, I'm just checking the mic if it's working. We got some new gadgets for YouTube. Hi YouTube. We got some new gadgets. I will show you guys in a bit, but just to tip you off, it's actually microphones, so our sound will be nice, loud and clear. All right, so yeah, I'm about to go give you guys a tour of Scotland itself. We are coming from Falkland. They call it Falkland Palace. Unfortunately, they do not allow to record. Thus, I could not take a video. But I'm gonna give you guys a tour around the village. If you see this building, it's quite old, and you see the stones they built it with, quite old. Even the setting is old. I'm not sure if it was initially a bar or they just turned it into a bar, because I see there are books over here. But if you guys want to see more of Scotland, please stick around and I will catch you guys later. Bye. Okay, we are in Scotland. Falkland. Why am I saying Falkland? This is the restaurant I'm coming from. Quite old. Even the outside, the setting is quite old. So stay tuned as I'll take you guys around Falkland and tell you guys more about the palace and Falkland itself. Sorry, I forgot to mention that there actually is an entrance fee to the palace, and in every room, every section of the palace, you always find someone to tell you all the details, and if you have any questions, they'll always answer you. I loved it so much because there's so much to say. You can spend a whole hour and they'll tell you all the history, how they were living their lifestyle. They had their own chapel, their own bakery, they had their own menu. They had, like, I just feel like it was like paradise for me. Like, if you have to imagine living that kind of life in the 14th century in that luxury. Moving on to the next, Outlanders filmed in Falkland. Did you guys actually know that filming occurred in the village of Falkland, where we are at currently, for many of the earlier season of Outlanders, and in season 2, the palace itself was used. Let's get back to the palace, the Chapel Royal. So in the chapel, we were standing where the kings and queens have gathered, and it remains a sacred place where the spirit of Falkland can be found, they say. The Chapel Royal is the only room in the palace where you can see original 16th and 17th century details. And I say details. When I say details, it's details, guys. It is the heart of the royal residence, a wooden screen and a ceiling date from the c. 1540. When the chapel was completed, Mary Queen of Scots' father, James V, died at Falkland Palace at the youthful age of 30. The chapel was draped in black and his body laid in state for a month over Christmas and New Year of 1542 to 53. The chapel holds layers of history. Looking up, you will see a 17th century ceiling, originally painted for Charles I and restored by the Marquess of Bute. Bute also added the stained glass window in the 1890s, which displayed the heraldic badges of Scottish kings and queens associated with the Falkland Palace. I want to tell you guys a little bit about Mary Queen of Scots' life because my gosh, my jaw was definitely left on the floor. So Mary's father was King James V of Scotland and her mother was Mary of Guise. They had two sons of both which died in infancy within hours of each other in 1541, just before Mary was born. The father was left very disappointed because that means he had lost just two legitimate heirs to the throne. However, they got pregnant again, but it was a baby girl, which was Queen Mary. But King James believed that the Stuart dynasty was at an end because he feared that a woman cannot lead or rule the nation. So just 6 days after Mary was born, King James died. How devastating. So Mary had to become the Queen of Scotland at 6 days. They say Mary Queen of Scots' life was a tragedy and very dramatic, more than any other legend known. And I'm sure you'll agree with this statement shortly after I finish telling you guys the story. Mary became the Queen of Scotland just a week after she was born. However, her life was at risk and they were threatening to kill her, so her mother sent her to France to be brought up with the children of King Henry II of France in magnificent royal palaces and became very close to Princess Elizabeth. She could speak French, Italian, Spanish, and Latin. Both Protestant England and Catholic France wanted Mary to marry a royal from their country in order to gain control over Scotland. Mary's great uncle, Henry VIII, arranged for Mary to marry his son Edward, hoping that this would unite Scotland and England. However, many Scots opposed this treaty and broke the arrangement. Henry was furious and sent his army to attack Scotland, and the courtship became known as the Rough Wooing. French troops helped the Scots to fight the English, and it was agreed that Mary would marry the Dauphin, which is the eldest son of the French king, and then Mary left for France when she was 6 years old. So on top of her life being at risk, they had also arranged Mary to marry the French prince, and at the age of 15, Mary married the 14-year-old Dauphin Francis in Paris, and a year later, the prince's father, King Henry, died. So this then makes Mary, the Queen of Scots, who is the current Princess of France, the new Queen of France, making her the Queen of Scotland and France. However, 2 years within their marriage, Mary Queen of Scots and of France's husband dies of an ear infection. So her reign for France was very brief as the crown was passed to his younger brother and she returned to Scotland as a young and beautiful widow. Mary Queen of Scots' mother, who had then ruled Scotland as a regent obviously on her behalf, also died the same year Mary Queen of Scots' husband died in 1560. So for the next 4 years, Mary was busy ruling Scotland. The royal court needed to travel around the country, meeting with other officials. Let's go on a quick commercial break with Mary's story, and I'll tell you guys more because there is more, as if that is not enough. You find that some houses do actually have the years they were built in, but I haven't seen one like that yet. But you do see that some are really very old, quite old. Just listen to how quiet and relaxing this place is. Away from the city lights and noise pollution. So you do understand that it is actually villages. It's like a village. It's like our own villages there back home in Namibia. But here they do have tarred roads and normal houses actually. It's not stocky, you see. It's not, the village houses that we usually have, but it is actually a village. It's quite small. There's nothing much happening like you'd find into the central CBDs. Yeah, this is Falkland. The streets are quite narrow. And there's one thing that really amazes me about UK in general. And I feel it's like that in most of the European countries where they've really invested in their transport systems. I keep saying this, but guys, it's the truth. Transport is so reliable. And for one, I've actually I've never heard of a tram, never seen it, but for the first time I came across it. I'll post a video on my Instagram. And I've never heard of a tram. It uses the same road as the cars and the buses. It's quite fast and reliable. And I wish our government could really just invest in things like this. It's very essential. And it's safer, less road accidents, less deaths, because Namibia is one of, I don't know, I don't know what, I forgot the number, but we have a high death rate of accidents. And it's quite sad because it's something that can be solved. Why can't we just have a train from Oshakati to Ngodiva, from Windhoek to the north? Because that is the highest, that's the road with highest accidents rate. From, you know, Lutherets from the south to Windhoek, and patrolled by police officers. I basically took a train yesterday from, I came from Birmingham, actually from Walsall to Birmingham New Street. From Birmingham to New Street, I went to Haymarket, from Haymarket to Cupar, and I arrived in Cupar midnight. I tell you what, the train is safe. There's police patrolling. Everybody's traveling. It's not like it's okay. It could even be empty. Once I took a train from London to Liverpool. It's empty, but safe. You also still feel safe. So I believe this is something that can be done, and it will solve so many problems, road problems. So I believe this is the chapel, maybe. I'm not sure. But the houses are quite nice, right? Antique, very old. And we are having a lucky day today. It's not raining.
Stand up.
Looking at this, ooh, thank you for that one. Nice one. It's riding. Where is he? I missed him. By the way, what was I saying? Oh, yesterday we met a guy that had a bike. Oh, here's the palace again. That's worth £6,000, manufactured by McLaren. £6,000, guys, for a bicycle. Can you imagine? But it has some nice features. But I just wouldn't be that crazy to buy a bicycle for that price. Anyways, this is Falkland. See, there's like a, okay, most of it is destroyed. Let me just zoom in there. That definitely means something. The inside is beautiful, really beautiful. You can see this was for the kings and queens. There's only one bus every hour to this village because it's quite far, and the drive is almost an hour as well. It's like 57 minutes from Cupar, that is. And yeah, it's nice. It's really nice. It's chilled, it's calm, it's, you know. Hello. Cute. The bus stop is there. It's beautiful, hey? Isn't it? These ships are having the best time of their lives, guys. Not like the ships back home, suffering. The sun is so hot. These ones, they eat, they rest, they go on breaks, they chill. They don't look for food. The food is there. And I don't know what they farm or what they manufacture, because I even saw a depot on our way here. But it's quite amazing and fascinating how it's a village, but you know, it's a developed village. Just go see the ships. Oh, nice, eh? Look at these ships. Oh, you can see here. There are a lot. Quite a lot. Hi, Shippy. Hi. Hi, Shippy. Why are you looking at me? Eat your food. Ndo feta. So you can see how big this place is. It's vast. Oops. Basically, most of the land is like this. Animals, sometimes cows, and their farmlands, and I don't really see anything they grow. It's mostly just grass, but it's quite green because I mean the weather is also nice. So yeah, I'll show you guys more on my way home because I'll be in a bus. Old stones, I guess old, those ancient times, the 16th century. People didn't obviously have cement, so I guess they used clay, but as a touch up to renovate, I'm sure people used cement. H for Hulda. You see the H? Yay! Yeah, this house is old. Guys, in the palace, there are places that have been there since the 1458. The Royal Tennis Court. 1568 or something? I took a picture. It's amazing. I should probably make a video of things you didn't know about the UK, or things I loved about the UK, or what to expect in the UK, something in that line. I don't know how I'll name it, but please don't get me wrong. Earlier when I said you're looking for a luxurious fancy life, you'll only find it in certain places like London. I'm not saying there are no big cities. They are cities with beautiful buildings, whatever town you can think of, but they still keep it old whatsoever. There are places, but I'm saying most of it is the countryside. But my point here is, even if you are in the countryside and living in the CBD, life is still the same. They still treat you it's no difference to how our African countries are. Like when you're in the village, you are in the village. No electricity, no water. Okay, few villages do have that, but no tied roads, no buses, public transport, means of transport is so difficult. Here in the UK, life is still the same. They make it a priority that basic needs such as water, electricity, transport is accessible to everyone, and not just to those that can afford it. Like back home, you only find certain places that have electricity or water because they can afford and the rest can't. So you get me? Like in the UK, you are living in the farm, in the countryside, whatsoever. It's a village, but like a bougie one, you know? It's a bougie village because you're not suffering, man. Like there's literally no difference. One other essential basic need that the government makes sure that its people has is access to hospitals. I tell you guys, there are so many old people in this country. Why? Because health is a priority. Health is a priority. There's a high mortality rate. There are more older people than there are young people. They are well taken care of, and that's why there's a need of carers and support workers, because for them, health is a priority. Transport is a priority. All these things that our governments don't. Oh, God. Never mind. You know, you look at your country's living conditions and then you compare here, and it's not that it's not doable. It is. I was looking at a video recently where I think it's on Anjokwe Hospital. Since the government took over, they've never provided linen, like bed sheets. They don't have washing machines. Like they need to go use, like, oh God, like these are basic things that's supposed to be a priority. How can a hospital not have working washing machines? How? One thing I love about the UK also is punctuality. If the bus is leaving 3:15, it's leaving 3:15, with or without you. Even if there's one person, even if there's no person, it will leave and go to the next bus stop. And that's actually a good thing, because you see how we do it back home. Even if there's one person missing, the bus will not move. It will make you wait even for 3 hours. No, man, we need to change these things. Ministry of Transport, are you listening? Anyways, enough with the complaining. Let us get back into this video. Okay, so let's pick up where we left off with Mary Queen of Scots story. So if you remember where we ended. I told you guys that she got married, the husband died, the mother died in the same year when the husband died, and now she needs to remarry so that she can have a child who would be the heir to the Scottish throne. And many princes, lords, and nobles wanted to marry her, but then she met her cousin, Lord Darnley. Mary immediately fell in love with him. However, few people approved of her choice. Elizabeth I of England saw this marriage as Mary's attempt to strengthen her claim on the English throne because Darnley had English royal connections. It soon became obvious that also Darnley had married Mary just to get the throne. Mary gave him the title of king but kept all the real powers to herself, and he resented this. So their marriage was not really a success. Darnley was a weak man and soon became a drunkard, as Mary ruled entirely alone and gave him no real authority in the country. So it was assumed that Mary Queen of Scots had an affair, or rather a very close relationship with one of the servants called David, and the husband Darnley was very jealous of this since they had a very close relationship. So Darnley, together with other plotters, murdered the servant David in front of Mary, and they stabbed him 56 times. Mary was 6 months pregnant at the time. Her son, the future King James VI of Scotland and the first of England, was baptized in a Catholic faith in Stirling Castle. This caused alarm amongst the Protestants. Just a few months after their son was born, Darnley was recovering from an illness at the house near Edinburgh. Mary nursed him for a few days, but one evening she went out. Soon after she left, the house was blown up. They found Darnley and his servant dead in the garden. Witnesses said that they had heard Darnley pleading for mercy. He appeared to have been strangled. At the time, some people believed that Mary was involved. Others believed that the Earl of Bothwell and other conspirators had planned to blow up the house. Bothwell was asked many questions by the Scottish Parliament, but he was not accused of killing. The identity of Darnley's killers remained a mystery. Mary had now become attracted to James Hepburn, Earl of Bothwell, and rumors had it that she was pregnant by him. And remember that this Bothwell guy was the one that was accused of Darnley's murder, but was not found guilty. But Mary and Bothwell were married. Lord of Congregation did not approve of Mary and Bothwell's marriage, and she was imprisoned in Leven Castle, where she then gave birth to stillborn twins. Oh, Mary, Mother of Jesus. What is happening? So much is happening in Scotland at this point, because remember, Lord Darnley was a Protestant, but when the child was born, they baptized a child as a Catholic, okay, which raised a lot of eyebrows in Scotland, right? And then on top of that, now Mary is on the third husband, and this is the husband that is being accused of killing Lord Darnley. Let me tell you why. So remember that Lord Darnley was Mary's second husband. However, Mary was not behaving like a grieving widow. She was seen playing golf at St. Andrews only days after Darnley's death. And I'll take you guys to St. Andrews, by the way. It's an upcoming video. And the Earl of Bothwell divorced his wife. And just 3 months after Darnley's murder, Mary married Bothwell. This shocked many Scottish people, although some believed that Mary was forced to marry him. Protestant nobles unite against Mary and Bothwell and eventually met Mary and Bothwell's army at the Battle of Canberry Hill, and Mary surrendered. Her troops deserted her and Bothwell fled. Mary was taken as a prisoner at Lochleven Castle. Bothwell was captured and imprisoned and was chained to a pillar half his height so that he could not stand upright. He was left for 10 years until he died. Oh Lord Jesus, the cruelty. Let's have a break with Mary's stories because Ladybank train station. Let me show you guys. Hold on. That's the train leaving. So this is the good thing I was talking about transport, guys. Look how small this place is, but it has a train station. train station could even be 2 minutes apart from each other, guys. I promise you. I think on my way from Liverpool, passing by one of those small towns, it was literally 2 minutes apart from the previous one. How convenient is that? They make sure that transport is easily accessible to everyone. Literally, by all means. Okay, so I'm hungry. We should look for something to eat. I don't know if it's possible. Why do you keep going high? You see, like these small villages, there's nothing much to do actually. To be honest, I don't think there's much to do in these small villages. Can you see the stones they used to build with? Antique, ancient. Oh, this street is going all the way down there. I think this is the CBD. I don't know if this is maybe like the main street or something, but let's see. Me, I want something to eat. Chinese, do they have something sweet? But I want something sweet, maybe like a cake or... Guys, I thought Spa was a South African shop. We have a Spa here. I want something sweet. We had lunch, but the food, you know how you always want to eat out back home in Namibia? Here you want to eat home. That's what I'm having. Quite sweet. Did it focus? The library will show you how small the town is. Look how small the library is. So it means the town is quite small. So let's quickly finish off with Mary Queen of Scots. So she was then forced to abdicate, and her young son was crowned King James VI of Scotland. And Mary, with help from a servant at a castle, she actually attempted to escape, but it was unsuccessful. Disguised in servant clothing, she escaped to a waiting boat and reached the shore safely. She managed to raise an army but was defeated by her Scottish enemies at the Battle of Langside, and in desperation she fled to England and appealed to her cousin Queen Elizabeth I of England for help. Elizabeth was the daughter of Henry VIII of England. She was the granddaughter of Henry VII. Mary, daughter of James VI of Scotland, and Mary de Guise, was also related to an English royal family, as she was the great-granddaughter of Henry VII. Elizabeth was a Protestant and Mary was a Catholic. Some Catholics did not accept the marriage of Elizabeth's parents because it was a Protestant wedding. They thought that Mary should be queen instead. As a result of inquiring into Darnley's murder, Mary was imprisoned by Queen Elizabeth I of England. She was kept prisoner in a number of different castles for nearly 19 years. Elizabeth treated Mary well, but always had her guarded carefully. They never met. During her years of imprisonment, Mary had her own servants, including a physician and a secretary. But Mary longed for freedom and to be reunited with her son. As a result of numerous plots to set her free, Mary was not allowed to communicate by letters. However, Mary found a way to smuggle letters in a beer barrel, with Sir Anthony writing to her and suggesting that Elizabeth should be killed, the Catholic religion restored in England, and her to become Queen of England. Mary agreed to this by a coded reply. However, it was a trick set up by Elizabeth's spy master. So Mary was sent to trial and found guilty. They planned her execution and she was beheaded. They were cutting her head off. So apparently the girl was very scared because he has never executed a woman, and on top of that she was a royal. So after 3 attempts of trying to chop Mary's head off, the executor held her head up to the crowd in the hall. The head fell to the ground, leaving him only holding a wig. However, Mary's real hair was thin and grey. Mary was initially buried at a nearby Peterborough Cathedral, and I'll also take you guys to Peterborough, so stay tuned and please subscribe so that when the Peterborough video comes along, you will see how Peterborough looks like. Queen Elizabeth I of England died in 1603. She had no children. This meant that Mary's son, James VI of Scotland, also became James I of England, uniting the crowns of Scotland and England. The two parliaments remained separate. Although James would have had no personal memories of his mother, he had Mary's body exhumed from Peterborough and reburied in a place of honor at Westminster Abbey, the traditional burial ground for kings and queens. At the same time, he rehoused Queen Elizabeth at a rather less prominent tomb nearby. And if you are watching until now, please give yourself a round of applause, because this brings us to the end of this video, and I hope you enjoyed Mary Queen of Scots' story and enjoyed the Falkland Palace. And I will catch you guys in my next video. If you're watching and you haven't subscribed, please do not forget to subscribe, as I have so many other videos coming up and so much history to tell you. I'll see you guys in my next video. Don't forget to share, like, and comment. Adios for now. Oh, guys, this is where I live. I didn't know. Yeah, it's beautiful. It's Cupar. Oh, this is Cupar. I didn't know. Maybe because I'm on top and it just, you know, you get the whole view of the city. Oh, city, town. Village, because this is also another village. This is Cupar, and that's our bus. Don't know what church this is. What is it? St. John's Church. Oh, hold on, guys. Give me a second. Okay, there we go. St. John's Church. It's beautiful, isn't it? Look. I'll show you from here. Oh, nice. Very nice. I don't know why their buildings were always going high. Very, very high. Huh?